Good afternoon, friends. In this capsule, we are going to highlight important decision taken by GST Council in their 25th GST Council meeting held on 18 January 2018. We have taken up 10 important decisions taken by GST Council in their 25th GST Council meeting held yesterday. The first one, late fees which is being charged for delayed filing of return GSTR1 by normal or regular taxable person, GSTR5 by non-resident taxable person, and GSTR5A by online information database access retrieval service located outside India and providing services to non-registered recipient. So these three return, if filed late, then they are the late fees, which is 200 rupees per day subject to maximum of 5,000 rupees, is now being reduced to 50 rupees per day, which includes both CGST and SGST. In case there is nil income, then this late fees would be 20 rupees per day as against 200 rupees per day, but subject to maximum of 5,000 rupees. For input service distributor GSTR6, late fees is being reduced from 200 rupees per day to 50 rupees per day. It is pertaining to late fees rationalized for late filing of respective return. Second important issue which was discussed in GST Council meeting, simplification of GST return. As we all know that the government is seriously thinking of to done away with 3 monthly return GSTR1, outward supply, GSTR2, inward supply, GSTR3, consolidated return. In this regard, to provide ease of business, a ministerial panel was set up in the last meeting under chairmanship of Sushil Modi, and then the IT panel which was under chairmanship of GST and CEO Mr. Pandey. Both panel has given the presentation before GST Council, and their presentation was integrated and then taken by Mr. Nandan Nilekani, chairman of Infosys service provider to GSTN, that what could be the best GST return process as a way forward. The idea which got culminated and decided as a way forward till the time it is finally decided by GST Council that we will continue to file GSTR 3B as we are doing today, along with supplier who is a seller selling goods or services will upload the invoice particulars, and once it is being uploaded, 3B is going to be matched with the invoice particulars, and then cross ITC matching and mismatching would be done between supplier and recipient. Looks like that would be the probability. Maybe GSTR 3B along with GSTR 1, or only uploading of invoices by supplier would be the way forward. But nothing is being concluded as yet, and now GST Council wanted to have some concrete way forward, and this is going to be discussed in forthcoming GST Council meeting going to happen through video conferencing. So as and when it is decided, we'll come back to you, but as of now GSTR 3B will continue, and then GSTR 1 which we are filing unless and until this process is being done away or new process is being suggested by GST Council. Having said that, now coming to the third important topic, which is GST collection happening in recent month from July to December. Government has really taken cognizance of that GST collection is going down over a period of time. So to find out some ways, they wanted to put Anti-Evasion Major. This is a new word once again, anti-evasion major, to be built up to ensure that tax evasion should be avoided and this government should get the correct revenue which they are projecting from GST perspective. In this regard, the first and foremost measure which is taken by GST Council is the e-way bill, which is going to be implemented from 1st of February 2018 for all interstate supply of goods, meaning thereby from one state to another state, interstate movement of goods, e-way bill would be compulsory from 1st February 2018. At the same time, for intrastate, 15 states has given their concurrence and they are virtually have implemented intrastate movement e-way bill system, and that will be carrying on for the 15 state, but it is being decided that all the state should implement e-way bill system even for intrastate not later than 1st June 2018. So thereby by 1st June 2018 we will have e-way bill system ready, either it is interstate movement or intrastate movement of goods. You would be knowing that 15 January 2018 a trial for e-way bill system for generation, modification and cancellation is being provided, and then the full-fledged operational e-way bill system would be effective from 1st February, and the website which you can go for trial for generation, modification and cancellation of e-way bill is ewaybill.nic.in. Once it is operational from 1st of February 2018, then we will have another e-way bill, ewaybill.gst.gov.in. From that particular website we can generate, modify and cancel e-way bill. So this is pertaining to e-way bill. Second component which was discussed towards less collection of GST in GST regime, composition dealer. There are around 17 lakh composition dealer registered taxable person, but the amount which was collected for the first quarter July to September 2017, it is meager amount 307 crore rupees. So government has taken this cognizance and having apprehension there is an under declaration by such composition dealer pertaining to their aggregate turnover less than 20 lakh rupees. So they are finding there may be some taxpayer who are not coming and declaring their correct values or not discharging the correct tax revenue. Keeping these things in mind, because tax collection in GST is not to the satisfaction level, government wanted to come in with the anti-evasion measure apart from anti-profiteering which is already going on. My observation to this point is GST was perceived that it will provide ease of business, transparency, there would be total faith, good faith, honesty and transparency between taxpayer and tax administrator. Now by anti-evasion measure, like e-way bill is one of the measure towards anti-evasion, but I would be looking for that we should not create adversarial kind of measure which will create problem and will have some kind of low confidence in the taxpayer towards the tax department. Of course, it is required to be protected, but what could be the best way? We have to find out with check and balances. Next topic which is being discussed and being decided by GST Council, SSE who has taken voluntary registration in GST, but they need not require to take registration because the aggregate turnover is less than 20 lakh rupees, but they have taken registration for any region, maybe for supplying the goods or services. Their registration was compulsory as wanted by the recipient. They have taken voluntary registration in GST regime, but otherwise their turnover is less than 20 lakh rupees aggregate turnover. Now, in case they want to surrender and cancel their registration, the GST provision says they can't surrender or cancel their registration unless expiry of 1 year from the date of effective registration certificate. Now it is being allowed if you have taken voluntary registration and you want to cancel your registration, you want to surrender your registration, you can definitely go for it even though before expiry of 1 year from the date of grant of registration certificate. Those who got migrated from pre-GST to GST era and taken GST registration, but they need not require to have GST registration, they can also surrender or apply for the cancellation by 31st March 2018 by filing REG 29, and this is being prescribed maybe like one of the specific case service provider having aggregate turnover less than 20 lakh rupees. They have taken registration because they were supplying interstate supply of services. That was compulsory registration required. Now they have taken registration only for that purpose, but aggregate turnover is less than 20 lakh rupees. Now as per the last GST Council meeting and the provision as standing today, that aggregate turnover is less than 20 lakh rupees for a service provider, whether he is engaged intrastate, interstate or supplying services through e-commerce operator, they need not require to have registration. So they can surrender, they can apply for cancellation for their registration, and date would be 31st March 2018. Going to the next topic, which is very important, GST rate is being rationalized. GST rate is rationalized for goods for 29 goods and for services 53 services, and this rationalization has taken place by reduction in GST rate or by way of exemption, or a certain clarification is being provided pertaining to those services. So we can take up some important rationalization which has been recommended for services, and then I will take some of the important recommendation for goods. But these changes for 29 goods and 53 services is going to be effected from 25th of January 2018. Now let me discuss some of the important rationalization which is being undertaken for services. Services provided by way of providing information under Right to Information Act is exempted. As I said, all these changes are going to be effective from 25th of January 2018. We have to wait for the notification. But this is what the summary and highlight of some of the important changes. Second one, legal services provided to government, local authority or governmental authority or government entity is being exempted. No GST leviable. Transportation of goods from India to a place outside India, either by way of air or ship. Now this is going to be exempted, but with a sunset clause, and this is till 30th September 2018. Having said that, the next one is royalty or license fees if includable in assessable value for discharging custom duty, then that royalty and license fees, they will not be IGST leviable, exempted. In simplicity, if custom duty paid on royalty and license fees, includable and assessable value of goods, custom duty is being discharged, then there would be exemption of IGST. Then we got member RWA, Resident Welfare Association, providing services to the members, and the amount of exemption was 5,000 rupees per member per month, which is now increased to 7,500 rupees per member per month, and such RWA are unincorporated entities or non-profit entity. Good one from exemption perspective. Important one. From GST rate reduction perspective, Construction of metro or monorail, GST rate reduced from 18% to 12%. Thereafter, housekeeping services provided through electronic commerce operator, GST rate would be 5% now with no input tax credit. Thereafter, tailoring services, which was earlier taxable at the rate of 18%, now would be taxable at the rate of 5%. We got admission to the theme park, joy rides, water park. Now GST rate reduced from 28% to 18% in this regard. And one important change which is very much important, wherever main contractor providing services to the government, local authority or governmental authority or government entity, and let's say they are charging 18% GST rate or 12% GST rate. If they subcontract that works contract to a subcontractor, then subcontractor is supposed to charge GST rate as applicable to the main contractor. So if main contractor is supposed to charge GST at 12% rate, then subcontractor also need to charge GST at the rate of 12%, and this provision going to provide some relief from inverted duty structure in the hands of main contractor. Thereafter, job work for leather and footwear, it is 5% GST rate as prescribed. And some of the major which is being prescribed looking at banking and financial companies, now it is being stated and going to be clarified that exempt supplies shall not include value of deposit, advance and loans on which some interest or discount are being given. So exempt supplies will not include such value of deposit, advance and loans. Thereby, there is no reversal of GST pertaining to this value, which will be excluded from exempt supplies valuation. Going to GST on transferable development right for construction industry. Whenever landowner giving development right to the developer or builder, transferable development right GST. Now the question was at what time GST going to be applicable on TDR. Now it is being deferred. GST going to be applicable on TDR only at that time when possessment is being handed over by way of any conveyance deed or other similar document to the landowner. Possession of immovable property is being transferred by way of conveyance deed or other similar document. So this is postponement of GST on TDR. In case of cash, cash is going to be taxable as normal as and when cash is being given by builder to the landowner, GST applicable at the point of taxation. Coming to the hospital industry, for hospital industry it is being clarified that the hospital is giving some consideration to the doctor or consultant, either they are employed with the hospital or not, that is continue to be healthcare service and GST is exempted. Even to the inpatient in a hospital, room rent, food and whatever nutrition item is being provided, that will continue to be composite supply towards healthcare services and continue to be exempted. This is going to be clarified for the hospital industry. Now coming to the last component of certain recommendation of GST rate change on goods. 29 goods are being prescribed for rate changes. I would take up the important one. All these three lists policy changes, changes in services and changes in goods are available on our website. You can go to our website and check out all the details, but I am only highlighting important one for your digest in this capsule. The goods related changes, the rate of GST is being changed from 28% to 18%. For medium and large cars and SUVs on margin, where input tax credit is not available of central excise duty or GST, In this case, the rate GST rate is reduced from 28 to 18%, and then it is for small car, this rate is being reduced from 28% to 12% for the small car, with same condition that no ITC is being availed. Going further, if you look at in this particular list, there are certain specific item for which GST rate reduced from 18% to 12%, like sugar boiled confectionery, drinking water packed in 20-liter bottle falling under tariff heading 2201. We got fertilizer grade phosphoric acid 2809, biodiesel under chapter heading 29 or 38. GST rate reduced from 18 to 12%. GST rate reduced from 18 to 5% for Maddie paste in cones or LPG supplied to household domestic consumer by private LPG distributor from 18 to 5%. There is one specific case where GST rate is being increased from 12% to 18% for cigarette filter rods falling under tariff heading 56012200. Rate is being increased from 12% to 18%. We got GST rate reduced from 12 to 5% for velvet fabrics with no input tax credit, no refund of unutilized input tax credit. Further, GST rate reduced from 12 to 5% on velvet fabrics falling under tariff heading 5801 with no refund of unutilized input tax credit. Subsequently, diamond and precious stone GST rate is being reduced from 3% to 0.25%. So these are the rate prescribed for the goods component. Rice bran GST rate is now from nil to 5% falling under 2302 rice bran. And then we got certain motor vehicle and certain changes with respect to compensation cess. Motor vehicle supplied as ambulance, there will not be any compensation cess as it was at the rate of 15%. So this is the change. And subsequently, wherever old and used motor vehicle, large and medium cars or the small car, GST compensation cess will not be there, subject to no ITC credit is being availed for such large, medium, SUV or small cars. To conclude further, that we all were expecting that GST Council may decide something on real estate and 5 specified petroleum products: petrol, diesel, crude petrol, aviation turbine fuel and natural gas inclusion in GST. Nothing is being decided as yet. So real estate and 5 specified petroleum product may be a subject matter and agenda for the next GST Council meeting. Going forward, there was IGST amount of 1,35,000 crore is being blocked, a large chunk of money for which GST Council has decided that provisionally 35,000 crore rupees would be divided between center and state. Coming to the last component, what all GST Council is doing to provide ease of business. No doubt simplification of return government is working. No doubt rationalization of late fees is being done for delayed filing of return. But only problem which we perceive as on date, that GST Council has to acknowledge that this GST was brought keeping in mind that it is going to provide ease of business. It's a confidence raised among taxpayers with the tax department, but with the provision of anti-profiteering already being debated, no guidelines as yet prescribed for the anti-profiteering. Now government is talking about anti-evasion major. In that regard, e-way bill system is going to be implemented for interstate movement from 1st February and for intrastate date is 1st June 2018. So by 1st June, whether inter or intra, all movement of goods would be governed by e-way bill. Now the question comes, what kind of other anti-evasion measure government is looking into? It is quite appreciating that GST Council is taking all possible measure. They are receptive and adaptive, doing their best, but in the name of anti-evasion measure, they should not bring in such kind of adversarial measure which is going to create problem and not easing the business as being the targeted in GST. GST is being taken up and introduced with the silver lining word. It is going to provide ease of business, simplification. It would be good and simple for all of us together. So only humble submission to GST Council would be that we should bring in certain measure, provided we first familiarize ourselves, like eBay will, though training period is 15 days, but let it be properly tested, like GSTN, which was having so many hiccups for return filing. We must check beforehand, are we ready for eBay bill, whether we have really resolved all open queries in eBay bill. What is the public interaction and public views, trade views in terms of eBay bill? So we will look forward that GST with the tagline of good and simple tax continue to be good and simple for all of us together, for the taxpayer to adhere to the compliances, pay taxes on timely, and for the tax department that they should not be taking any adversarial measure in the guise of anti-evasion or anti-profiteering. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much. And in case you want to see these policy changes, rate changes for goods and services, definitely you can go to our website and check the detailed policy changes document. In case you're having any query, you can write back to us. We'll try to respond to your queries. Thanks once again for watching this GST capsule. Thank you very much.